You have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable all the time, because I don't know, there's no certainty in real estate. There's no certainty in any entrepreneurial, in real estate, you eat what you kill, so to speak. There's no W-2. I don't get a paycheck every 2 weeks or every Friday. So you have to have a lot of mental grit to be able to be okay with that, and to know that, someone's not paying you. You have to go out. I wake up every morning. A lot of real estate people like to say, I wake up every morning without a job, and I have to go find my clients. I have to go find my next client.
Welcome to the Small Steps, Big Wins podcast. I'm dedicated to helping you take control of your life. Together, we'll explore practical tips, expert advice, and inspiring stories to help you overcome obstacles and achieve your goals. Making small changes is possible and can lead to big results. Are you ready? Let's go do this. Well, welcome back to another episode of Small Steps, Big Wins podcast. I'm Sue Saller. I am so glad that you have decided to spend some time with us on wherever you are in your journey of life. Today, I have a really interesting guest, and I'm thrilled to welcome Gina Shumway. She's a former healthcare provider turned entrepreneur, which I love entrepreneurs, realtor and real estate investor. Gina got her journey started by renting out her basement and has since built a thriving investment business, helping others achieve financial independence through real estate. And she has the mindset behind it to do it. So we're going to dive into a number of those things today. But first, Gina, welcome.
Thank you. I'm super stoked to be here. I'm really excited. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
I'm excited that you're here too. Give everybody a background of who we're going to get an opportunity to listen to today.
My name's Gina Shumway. I am married with 4 kids, happily. I reside in Cleveland, Tennessee. As you mentioned earlier, I was in healthcare for about, I feel old, 14 years. And a few years back, I started investing in real estate and decided that, I had a lot of potential there. I felt like it was something that I don't want to say called to do, that sounds kind of cliche, but it was something that I really, really enjoyed and felt like it was something that I could thrive at, and for lack of a better word, change my life. So I made the jump a couple of years back, and I haven't.
Great. So moving, let's just jump right into mindset behind doing that. So you moved from a traditional W-2 career. Nothing wrong with W-2s. I don't know. People have called me out and said, oh, you don't like W-2s. That's not true. I think it takes a certain breed of person to go from a W-2 environment to an entrepreneur. I mean, there is a level of unknown there, right? So you moved from the traditional W-2 to being a full-time entrepreneur, and it requires a mind shift to do that, or mindset shift to do that. So talk a little bit about what mental barriers you had to overcome, and what advice would you give to someone who's hesitant maybe to take that leap if they're feeling that calling?
So it's not an easy decision to make. And quite frankly, anyone who tells you that it's just the easiest thing, or, that those like millionaire overnight things, those to me are not realistic. So I try really hard when I talk to people about being realistic in the expectation. And just like you said, I'm not necessarily against W-2s. I mean, I worked as a W-2 employee for 14-ish years before doing this. And I also have a husband who is still a W-2, which helps. But for me, it really started during COVID. When COVID hit, I was working very long hours. I mean, I'm sure have heard lots of stories of people getting burnt out just from working a lot of hours, all these people being sick. I started feeling like people was more of a number than actually helping them. And then, very transparently, I made the most amount of money that I could in the healthcare world about 8 years ago. And since then, it actually started declining. And I noticed that I was competent. I was a nurse practitioner. I still am, technically. And I realized that I was competent. I was seeing all of these patients. I was doing my job very well. And yet I had reached my ceiling, so to speak. And I was also not being compensated at the level of a lot of my peers because of 2 letters behind my name. And so I was like, you know what? I started listening to podcasts, I started investing in real estate, and I very quickly realized that there was a lot of untapped potential and money and things in going into real estate. And so I actually started buying a couple. I bought one property and then I bought another property, and I won't go into the whole dynamic of like the type of investing that I used, but I was able to reuse my capital and do very well at it, to the point where I actually had people coming to me and saying, hey, can you help me find a house? Can you help me do the things that you're doing? And I was like, well, I can teach you, but I can't really help you find a house. I don't have my license. And my husband was like, why don't you go do that? Like, you love this stuff. Like, he's like, you come home from your job, my W-2, and he's like, and you talk about real estate. Like, sometimes we'd be at dinner and he'd be like, can we talk about anything but real estate, you know? And so he was like, you should do that. And so I was like, okay. So I went and I got my license. And then I actually ended up joining a team, and I actually asked the team, within 3 months of being on the team, I realized being on a team wasn't for my personality. Like, I didn't want to be an employee, so to speak. Again, I wanted to build something. I wanted to build my dream. And so I actually told the team leader, hey, I love you. I think you're great. I totally, I aspire to be you, but I don't want to invest all this time in your team and then leave, and potentially I can't take my clients with me. I want to build something.
Yeah.
And I guess she saw something in me, and she ended up calling me back and said, would you be interested in taking over my team?
Wow.
And so I actually, over the course of discussions, whatever, I actually ended up purchasing her team with a partner, and building off of her team. And it's been fantastic. I've only been doing it for a short period of time, and in my first full year of real estate, I made almost twice what I was making as a nurse practitioner.
Oh, wow. Wow. What do you think it was different within you that made you realize you didn't want to work in the team, but rather you wanted to be over the team?
Because there's a lot more growth potential when you own a team. I saw the team leader develop her own systems and processes, so that way her agents on her team had more freedom to be able to just buy and sell real estate. We have admin, and we have processes and systems put in place. But I also I wanted the vision of being able to have my team and grow it how I saw fit. And I like that autonomy. But as far as the mindset goes, getting back to that, there is something, you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable all the time. Because I don't know, there's no certainty in real estate. There's no certainty in any entrepreneurial. In real estate, you eat what you kill, so to speak. There's no W-2. I don't get a paycheck every 2 weeks or every Friday. So you have to have a lot of mental grit to be able to be okay with that, and to know that someone's not paying you. You have to go out. I wake up every morning. A lot of real estate people like to say, I wake up every morning without a job, and I have to go find my clients. I have to go find my next client, my next investor, my next whatever.
That's a great saying. I've been around a lot of real estate agents, and I have friends that are real estate agents. I've never heard anybody put it that way.
Yeah. You wake up every morning without a job, and you have to go find that. And then I think a mindset shift. The other thing I will say is that people like to say, well, I'm tired of working 40 hours a week for somebody else. I want to work for myself. And I will say, there are times when I have said, I left working 40 hours for someone else so I could go work 80 hours a week for myself.
So what gets you through that? I mean, what gets you through that how do you avoid the burnout, or how do you encourage yourself and talk to yourself to keep going in those 80-hour weeks? You flip to the 40-hour week job for an 80-hour week entrepreneurship. What's the drive?
So, two things. I think you can hit burnout very quickly. The average, I think, don't quote me on the percentages, but I'm pretty sure what I read was 80% of real estate agents quit within the first 2 years. And I think the reason why is one of two things. One, they're not able to generate enough business to be able to provide for themselves and their family, and so they end up quitting. And then two, I think the burnout rate is so high because it's a constant grind. So how do I keep myself from not burning out? It's definitely a trying to juggle life and a business balance, right? So I can't say that I'm the best at it. I am working at it. I like to tell people that I am the Belgian Malinois of people. So if you know the temperament of a Belgian Malinois, they are very high drive dogs. Like they need hours and hours of exercise because they're just constantly on the move. I am like that. So I have to actually cognitively tell myself that it's time to slow down. And I will also say that it doesn't matter what kind of success you have. No success outside of the home can compensate for failure inside of it. And so I really try to make sure that I spend quality time with my husband and my children. So I am a huge advocate of time blocking. So I wake up early in the morning, we have scripture study as a family, I take my kids to school, and then I immediately hit the gym if I can. Some days I can't just because work is I have too much going on. And then I put in everything that I can in the hours that my kids are at school. I pick up my kids from school, and from 4 p.m. until 7 p.m., my phone gets put away. I become almost unreachable. I'm not perfect at that. There have been times when there's something going on and I haven't done that, but time blocking is very important. My children are very important.
What do you think has been the biggest benefit out of it, or a number of benefits from you doing that, for doing the time blocking? Because it sounds like you didn't do that. Have you always been a time blocker, or did you kind of stumble across that and have it change certain aspects of your life?
I've always been a very organized person. Like, I've always been very much into working out in the gym because I really feel like my physical health is very important for my mental health. And so I've always scheduled that. So like for a long time, I would wake up at 4:30 and hit the gym at 5 o'clock so I could be home to get my kids ready for school by 5. And so I'd already kind of learned that. But then one of the very first things when I actually joined my real estate team, the team leader before me, she was very much into time blocking. Like if you looked at her calendar, it was just, every hour of every day was scheduled. And so I adopted that policy somewhat, but initially I only did time blocking for like business. And then I realized that if I didn't, and it sounds bad, I really feel like if you're an entrepreneur and you own your own business, your business can become your entire life. So I time block my family. I really do. So I have time blocking in evenings for my kids. I have time blocking on Saturday. I don't miss their events. That's one of the biggest things that I love about going from a W-2 employee to working for myself is I don't miss my kids' events. I don't miss football games. I don't miss swim competitions. I don't miss wrestling tournament. I don't miss any of that stuff. So I'm able to schedule around them. For religious purposes, I do not show homes on Sunday, which is kind of almost blasphemous in the real estate world because so many clients, they say, want to see homes on the weekends when they are not working. But because I've built a team, there is always an agent that is willing to see the homes for me on Sunday. I compensate my agents for, like, if they go do something for me, I compensate them for that time. And that leaves me time to be at home with my kids and my husband.
Oh, that's great. That's great. What are some things, like I could see, I have tried time, I do a little bit of time blocking. Having my conversation with you is now encouraging me to go back to doing it more because I haven't been doing that much. And the reason I haven't is because I find other things are getting in the way. Or something else comes up, or something something comes in to try and sabotage how my day is going. What are some tips or tricks you do to keep life, and I'm not talking about emergency life, but to keep life from coming in and sabotaging your time block days?
So one of the things that I did acquire from the healthcare field that I have put into place in my work now is what they call triaging. So in the emergency room and just in emergency type medicine, they do what's called triage. And triage is where you take, and in the medical world, it's you take all of the patients who are there to be seen, and you take the most critical, and then you prioritize your work and who you see first based off of how critical they are. So if they're dying, obviously they're a level 1, like they're dead. Like if you do not take care of them right now, they're gonna die. So like you take care of them first, and then you work down the row until it's somebody who can wait. And so for me, every morning, sometimes I do it at night. Usually it's in the morning when I first wake up. I keep a to-do list. I have an app on my phone that has all of my to-dos, and I literally go through and I prioritize them. So I have the stuff at the top, and then I work it all the way down to the bottom. And my time blocking, I have some that are basically like there is nothing that prioritized, like that gets to go over that.
Okay.
And then I have some that, I time block specifically for those items that are on my list. But I triage things. So unless it's a time sensitive item, it can wait. That's still kind of hard for me, because for me, I want to get everything done. I'm such a results driven person that I want my entire list of to-dos to be completed so I can feel like I'm accomplished. But it's really triaging to get done what's most important now, and then the rest of it can come with time. And it's discipline, because if you don't have the discipline to sit down and say, okay, for the next hour, I'm going to lead generate, or for the next hour, I'm going to pull all of these comps for these various clients and evaluate these deals. You can blink and
it's gone.
It's gone.
Yeah. Yeah. Discipline is the key. Yeah. I've found to a lot of things, if you're not disciplined. What are some things that you do to keep yourself disciplined? And is it something that you've always done, or is it something that you kind of developed over time?
I would say both. As far as like, how do I keep myself there? You have to recommit. So we actually have a 12-week goal sheet, if you will, that our agents, like we do and our agents do. So every 12 weeks we set a goal, various goals. So there's one for every different thing. So it can be work, one is personal, one is like your personal finances, like just different things. And you set those goals and then you reevaluate them. So I think the key to really staying focused is to constantly be evaluating yourself and how you can do better. And then also giving yourself a little grace. Like, you can't always do everything successfully and well. And I think balance is, I don't think you can ever be perfectly balanced in everything. Like, sometimes my children take a priority. Like, we had some personal and some health things come up in our family, and I had to really lean into my kids for a little while. And that's when I had to kind of shifted, and I gave some of my clients to my agents on my team, so that way my clients were not, neglected, or, all of their needs were met. And then there's sometimes, like, there's real estate is cyclical, so there's periods in the year where it's very, very, very busy. And so I kind of have to lean a little bit more into work and, have my husband kind of help pick up at home. So it's kind of it's a juggling act. I don't even know. It's juggling.
Yeah, but it sounds like you have, you talked about this idea of balance, and balance is very interesting. We hear it out there, like, oh, you got to live a balanced life, and, everything needs to be balanced and all fall into place. But as I'm listening to you tell your story, it seems like to me your idea of balance is a compilation of things that you do in your life to help maintain what's balanced for you. And what looks balanced for you might not be balanced for somebody else. So what I'm hearing is that, you do the time blocking, you do triaging, you prioritize what's going on and what has to get done in your day. You set your priorities based on, sometimes your family is your highest, sounds like your highest priority there. Your kids are very important. You don't miss those games. And that's what it looks like for you. I don't have kids, so that wouldn't be one of my priorities, but it's different for everybody, right? So that's what I hear you saying. But encased in all that is discipline, being disciplined to do that. And I'm curious about challenges then. So you've got your balance in your life, but challenges are going to come up, and every entrepreneur faces them.
Absolutely.
Out of your story, could you share a time where you hit a major roadblock in your journey and how you turned that around into a stepping stone for success?
So I think the one that really comes to mind initially as a stumbling block happened to me this past year. I'm a very busy person. 4 kids is a feat, and then owning a real estate team. And then I do own an investment business myself. I am still an investor and I still purchase investment properties. So my team was kind of going through a lot of growth and a lot of different things, and then I was presented with an opportunity to buy a wholesale, which is a specific type of investment. It was an opportunity that was too good to pass up. So I was like, let's do this. I got the property. I work with contractors all the time. I decided to have a specific contractor do my project because I had my other well-known contacts already doing multiple flips for clients of mine. But this one came recommended to me, and so I started on this. It was an industrial warehouse turned into a single-family home that I decided to make into a quadruplex.
Interesting.
And so, big overhaul.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It was an undertaking. So he got started, and the contractor purchased it, got started and everything. And after a couple months, I realized it was not progressing in the way that it needed to. As things started, the demo was done, the rebuild was starting, things were not up to standard. And I had to let him go. So I ended up letting him go, and I ended up losing a significant amount of money in it. And I was like, okay, I have to finish, right? I can't just give up. So I ended up calling on lots of different subcontractors and different people. And I also looked to a couple people who I would say, I looked to them as mentors. They don't have like a formal role necessarily as a mentor, but I looked to them and kind of said, what do I do here? I've done a lot of some rehabs and different things, but this project was literally taking it all the way down to the cinder block and building it back up. So essentially new construction and then some. And there were so many roadblocks, it would take me 30 minutes to tell you the whole story. I ended up basically becoming the general contractor for that project. Through it, I learned so many things about building code. I learned about the process of how to navigate through various contractors and rough-ins and inspections and just the entire process of working all the way through that. And honestly, it was so empowering to be able to do all of that, because now I know, because I made sure after that, I hired the best plumber, licensed, insured, the best electrician, the best. I was like, this is going to be done right. And so now I know, I knew what right looked like before. That's why I knew with this guy who was working before, I caught on. I wish I would have said something sooner, but I was trying to.
Well, sometimes you think things are going to turn around and go better. I've had that too. I've had a contractor in my house starting to do work, and I see things here or there, and I'm like, oh, well, they'll turn it around. I'll just let that thing go, and then maybe it'll get better. What I heard in your story is that out of this experience, you felt more empowered. You learn what was going on, and it gives you that sense of empowerment because you had to take over these roles you didn't think you were going to take over. How about, I'm listening to the story going, I might go down the road of failure. Well, I failed at this thing. How could I have missed this? How could I have done that? Why didn't I see this? Talk a little bit about how you either silenced those voices or protected yourself. I'm not sure which one it is, against going down that road and keeping a more positive aspect on the situation.
So I love that question more than anything, because I am such, like I said, I'm such a results-driven person that for me, I have had to work through, I fear failure more than anything. I'm very driven almost to the point where, because I'm afraid to fail, that's what almost keeps me going sometimes, if that makes sense. And so absolutely, with this particular project, I bought it through with my, I have a partnership on this project. And so I have 2 other partners. And I actually went to them and I was like, I am so sorry. I failed. I chose the wrong contractor. We're losing all this money. Like, I am so, and I honestly, like, I had done multiple rehabs well before. So I was like, where did I go wrong? And like, oh my goodness. And it was it was a significant, that's how I looked at it. It was a failure. And so my partners actually, and my husband, all of them were like, Gina, you took on something that most people, like, you're not a like, you didn't go to construction. Like, you don't have a bachelor's degree in construction management. Like, you didn't know how to do all of these things. And like, you took the leap of faith and you did it, and you're not done yet. Like, and like, keep going. Like, we're going to figure this out. And it's not, and that's one of the things about, and that's what I teach my clients. That's one thing about real estate is, and any kind of construction is, you can always fix it. It might be costly, but you can always fix it. And so
it's a good perspective.
Yeah, and
on anything, really. You can always turn around and fix something. Every problem has a solution, and everything you have a problem that you can fix. I love it.
And
I love that.
You only fail when you stop trying. And so I got myself back up. I picked myself back up. I went to the job site. I got the contractors. I negotiated. Like, I did all of that stuff, and it's now done. And it's I'm in the process. I just finished it just a little while ago. I've got 2 out of 4 units rented. Somebody's looking at one of them. I'm pretty confident it'll be rented. So I'm very hopeful that it will be fully rented by beginning of March. And amazingly enough, even with all those, everything going on, it should cash flow splendidly.
That's great. Congratulations.
And thank you. And I'm so grateful for that, because not just that it worked out, but like I said, like, there's so many things that I learned, and honestly, relationships that I built with those contractors, that I already had a good team in place for my clients, but I feel like I can take so many things that I learned from that. And now when I go see homes for clients, like, I already was able, I mean, I've done this for a little while, I was already able to kind of say, oh, well, there's an issue here, or this little crack, like, I'm worried about this, like, we need to get a foundation person to come look at this. But like, and I used to be able, like, I would have to kind of guess what I thought rehab was going to be, but now, I mean, I've done it down to the nitty gritty enough times that I can look at something and I can walk into a place and say to my client, I think it's going to cost you about this amount. And I'm able to really analyze properties well and speak to what is a good purchase and a good investment and what isn't. And so, did I do it perfectly? No, I didn't do that job perfectly, but it's going to make one heck of an investment. I mean, it's going to do great, in multiple ways.
How did you feel at the beginning of that project, and then now you're on the other side of it? How do you feel?
So I was really excited to take it on when I first purchased it, because I just thought it was going to be this fantastic thing. I mean, I've always done single family homes, and they're smaller and they don't take as long, and I knew it would be more work, but I had no idea the level that I was taking on. My electrician actually told me, this will be the hardest job that you ever do. Like, this project will be the most difficult of all that you take on, because from here on out, you'll know how to do the larger stuff, and you'll know how to do it well. And so I would say I started as excited, and then I was insanely overwhelmed, and then I slowly, like, became more, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Gained perseverance, like, if that makes sense, and more confidence in myself. And by the time when I finished and I walked through that property, I did a video. It's actually on my Facebook and my Instagram, but a video that shows before and after videos of all of it, and walkthroughs of the exterior and walkthroughs of the interior, and the insane amount of, like, accomplishment that I feel. And I don't want to say pride, but really and truly, like, I am proud of that
accomplishment. That you can be proud of something that was that difficult to walk through. I'm listening to the story. What I don't hear, and maybe it was a thought in your mind, did you ever think about giving up on it? And then what kept you going if you did?
I really and truly never thought about giving up, because I didn't have. That wasn't an option.
It wasn't an option. Okay. All right.
And so,
what's what's your mindset then if you have something where walking away is an option, but you keep going? What drives you?
I've never quit anything in my life. I've always, even when I was younger, if I didn't like something, my parents always said, well, you need to stick it out until like you finish the season, or you need to stick it out until, whatever, because that whole whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I would say it, there are some things that maybe are not good, but I feel like as long as what you are doing is going to help you accomplish your ultimate goal or what it is that you want, don't give up. Now, there are things that I think if you find, like, I have had things that are in my life that because now I'm busy enough and I triage things in my everyday life. I don't watch TV. I really and truly, I don't. I look at it as a time waste and a time suck. It doesn't provide me with any type of fulfillment, and so I don't watch TV. There's things that I have looked at in my life and said, you know what, that doesn't fulfill me. It doesn't contribute to my life, so I'm gonna. I guess you could say I quit that. Mm-hmm. But as far as like most things, I would say the internal dialogue that I have is, Gina, you can do hard things. Like you know how to do hard things. You're going to get through this just like you've gotten through everything else. And I hope you don't mind me bringing it up, but my faith.
Oh, yeah. No, I heard that in there. Like when you said you do, when you pray in the morning with the family and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, faith does play a big factor in, I've talked to quite a few people, and a lot of them, their common thread is their faith. And that is something behind what drives, that gives them that perseverance a lot of times to go on, that hope that it's all going to work out, the fuel for being able to do hard things. So there's nothing wrong with giving your faith credit as a driver behind what you do.
And like, what kind of example am I showing my children and other people if I quit? My oldest son wrestles, and he just started. He did some other sports, and he decided he wanted to try wrestling. And wrestling is the most brutal sport. Sometimes it's hard to watch because I've watched my son almost be picked up and just slammed on the ground, and they are brutal. When they wrestle, it is not illegal to have their forearm on somebody's neck, and I've watched my son just get absolutely just dominated on the mat because he didn't have the 7-8 years of experience, that some of these other kids do because of how old he is. And I watched him fail over and over and over and over again. And he would pick himself back up, and we would have talks. And we actually started a saying a long time ago that Shumways don't quit. And so he said that, he just came to me. He's like, Mom, Shumways don't quit. And by the end of his season, he was pinning people. So not a lot, okay? We're not going to state or anything, but it's a step in the right direction.
Right.
Small steps, right?
Yeah. Well, you're comparing yourself for him in his case, and you know what? It's a good reminder to all of us. Yeah, you said, no, he's not going to states. It doesn't matter. It sounds like he has that mindset where he's comparing himself to who he was the day before. He's not comparing himself to others per se. He's just comparing himself to who he was the day before, and he improved.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, isn't that just all of us? We just want to improve upon who we are and just be a better version of ourselves than who we were yesterday. And that comparing ourselves to somebody else usually sabotages what we're trying to accomplish rather than encouraging us to continue to go on. So kudos to you. You for setting that example and doing it in such a way that it becomes ingrained in your kids and who they are. So that's awesome. That's awesome. Looking back, what was the small action or actions or decisions that have had the biggest impact on your success in what you do and in life?
Someone asked me that question recently, and so I've actually been thinking about it. And one of the things that I've done, and I was reflecting on it, and I'm like, I feel like it's not a big thing, but it's been so impactful, is being kind. To be kind to everyone that I work with. This world is difficult, and like I said, being an entrepreneur is very stressful. Being a real estate agent is honestly very stressful. It can be hard to not look at other agents as competition because, some people think that, that agent is taking away their business. But I've tried really hard to have an abundance mindset and a giving mindset, that when we give and we are kind, and we give of ourselves freely, we get that in return. And so I have strived, I'm not perfect, but to be kind to everyone. And I have seen that and give back to me tenfold. And so, like, a couple of examples is, there's two that come to the forefront of my mind. The first is, I had a client who was wanting to purchase this little adorable townhome in this subdivision. And we were supposed to close like 2 days before Thanksgiving. Okay, so it was like the last day that everything was open, and we had everything ready except for this HOA document that we needed, because the subdivision had an HOA. And the lender was like, we've tried so hard to get a hold of this HOA president, and we can't get a hold of him, and if we can't get the HOA document, we can't close. And I was like, I had to get this single mom, into this house. Like, I had to get it done. And so I was like, I need the information. Like, do you have the information of the HOA? So the lender sent it to me. I called the HOA president. He didn't answer. And I just left this voicemail. And I was like, if you have any compassion in your heart, please, like, I have this single mom. She wants to be in this house. Like, is there any way that you could please get this to me? I know it's right before Thanksgiving. Please call me back. I mean, I was practically groveling. Yeah. So he ended up calling me back, and he was like, I did get this email from the lender, but to be quite frank with you, they've been, I'll substitute words, difficult to work with. Mm-hmm. And he was like, quite frankly, I have a very busy day, et cetera, et cetera. Like, I don't appreciate the way that I was treated, is like his response back to me. And I just said, I can't speak for them. I can't speak for anyone, but I can speak for me and for my client. And we desperately need this document. Like, please, if you would, like, if you could just send it to me, I would be so appreciative. Please. And so he was like, okay, well, I'll be back in my office in like an hour, and I'll see if I can send it to you. And sure enough, like an hour later, it ended up coming into my email, and I was able to get it closed.
Wow.
But that's not where it ends. So I ended up calling the HOA president, who I found out was actually the builder of that subdivision, because the subdivision isn't finished yet. He still is developing it. I ended up calling him the day after Thanksgiving and just saying, hey, I appreciate what you did so much. Like, you helped make someone's Thanksgiving. And then I just said, very casually, I said, if you ever have any real estate needs, I was like, I hope how I advocated for my client and how how hard I worked for her, shows you that I will work for my clients. If, how hard I'm willing to, work for them if you need anything. And he said, call me on Monday. So I said, okay. Wow. So I called him on Monday, and I now represent him and his townhomes in that subdivision.
Wow. Congratulations on that. So it's just a wonderful, beautiful example of something that you deem a small step, and that's just being kind to everyone, is not really a small thing. It starts in small. Here's how I see it. It starts in small actions. You don't have to have a big, grandiose action of kindness, but the ripple effect of kindness goes in directions that we can't often imagine or predict.
Absolutely.
So I love that story. I'm so happy that you shared that, because I hope that encourages others to, it also shows that you never know what's around the corner by one small act of kindness. And you have this passion for helping others. Like, I can hear that common thread in there. What drives your passion for helping and empowering others?
Well, I'd say it's multiple things. One is, my faith. Again, I feel like when I'm serving my fellow man, I'm serving God. I came from parents who came from very, very humble means, very, very humble means. And my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and my dad worked really hard to provide for the family, and he did a great job. And, I was able to have a lot of experiences that I know a lot of people haven't, but I was able to, see our lives change. Even though my dad provided a lot, I actually, over the last few years, have learned so much just stepping outside of the W-2 mindset and becoming an entrepreneur. I've learned not just real estate investment strategies, but just all different types of financial strategies. Ways to kind of diversify and to grow wealth, generational wealth. And I can't tell you how many times I've thought, man, if I wish I would have known this, 15 years ago. I wish I would have known this, so many years ago. I would be in a completely different place, financially. It's already significantly impacted my life. I mean, just a few years ago, I had my primary home and that's it. And now I'll have 8 doors in just a couple of years. So, just give me another 5 to 10 years and, I hope that will just continue to grow exponentially. And so to me, like, I've helped multiple people purchase their first investment home, and I now, with a few, I have helped them from their first to their 6, 7, and there's something that's so rewarding about teaching people how to build wealth and then also just obtain financial independence in ways that they didn't think possible before. I love that. I love when my clients, they buy a property and then, they get it rented or whatnot, and then they come back to me and say, "Hey Gina, I just finished my next one. I'm ready to find the next one. Let's go." I have one client who she loves to say, she's so funny. She loves to say, "Let's go shopping," and I don't know. It's just,
It's great.
it's just, I don't know if I call it necessarily paying it forward because it is my livelihood, but there's a reward to that. Like it's maybe not saving them from a disease or a sickness, but it's helping them in another way that will have an impact, I hope, not just on them, but their posterity. And I think that's great, and I do help people with their primary residence as well. Like I have friends who I've helped them buy like their first home or help them upgrade, or I've sold things for them, and that's also rewarding too. Like I love when you walk in and somebody finds their home and they're like, "This is the one," that's really fun. It's like being a part of.
There's something about that helps. You're helping people, like you said, pay it forward. You're having that generational perspective on what it is that you're helping people with, and you've got a couple different avenues in which you can help them. I think that's really cool. I mean, that's threaded in your desire and passion to help others and to see them grow and win as well.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I love it. As we wind down a little bit, I'd like to ask all my guests the same 3 questions. So I'm curious as to what you would share from your perspective. So the first is, share a book or resource that's had a significant impact on you.
This is probably, I don't know if you hear this one a lot, but Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Oh yeah. Love that book.
That one completely changed my entire outlook on life. It wasn't that long ago that I read it. I think maybe 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Completely changed my life. Rich Dad Poor Dad. The other one is The Burr Method by David Green, and that's a real estate investing book. It taught me a ton about what I know now, and I would highly, highly recommend it.
Yeah, that's cool. The Rich Dad Poor Dad, I read that one a number of years ago too. It does alter your perspective. If you have an open mind about finances and about cash flow and things like that, it's a really good book. I had the privilege of being able to meet Kim Kiyosaki, who is Robert Kiyosaki's wife, a couple of years ago at a conference that I went to. So I got to see her speak. Yeah, that was pretty cool. And David Green, who wrote The Burr Method, I saw him speak last year at a conference. Really nice guy, down-to-earth guy.
So down to earth.
Yeah, has a lot of great content out there and just a giving individual as well. So both really good. Both life-changing, depending on
what you're looking
where you're coming from. Yeah, absolutely. What's I enjoy this question a lot. What's one question or topic you wish I would have asked about, and how would you have answered the question or expanded on the topic?
I think one of the ones that, if you could go back in time, go back in time and tell yourself something then that you know now, what would you tell yourself?
Okay.
And obviously, like, there's the easy ones, which is buy real estate now and get a universal life policy and overfund it so that you can use it as an investment vehicle. But really, the other answer for me is I would go back in time and I would tell myself it always works out in the end. It's okay, Gina. It's always going to work out in the end. Because life is just, it's hard. Like, it doesn't matter what you do. I mean, whether it's a W-2 or it's self-employment or whatever, there's always going to be obstacles and there's always going to be difficulties and setbacks and heartache and all of those things. But what I've learned time and time and time again is that it's always going to work out in the end. It may not be fun. There's a couple I love quotes. I don't know if you've noticed, but I love quotes. So, like, two of my favorite, like, one of the other quotes I like is, "This too shall pass. It may pass like a kidney stone, but it will pass."
I've never heard the second half to that one.
Yeah.
I always tell everybody, this too shall pass. This is only temporary.
Yeah. And
I
then
like the other part.
The other one that I really like is, if you choose the hard, your life will be easy. But if you choose the easy, your life will be hard.
Oh, I love that.
And so I always tell myself when life is really hard, but it's because I'm growing or I'm taking on some big project or task. I'm taking it on for a reason because I'm doing so intentionally to change the trajectory of mine and my family's life.
But it sounds like you keep the bigger picture in mind, and that's what keeps you.
It's important, for sure.
Yeah. Especially if you have a target that you're aiming at, then it's easier to continue no matter what the challenge or difficulty is when you've got that goal that you're looking for. So I love your story. Thank you for sharing that. As we close, what is one small step that someone can do today that's going to help them change their tomorrow?
I would say if you could change one thing in your life, what would it be? And to dedicate yourself to make that change. And it can be small. Set the small goal, but take the step. It can be a baby step, but take the step.
Perfect. Thank you. Gina, thank you for the gift of your time. I've enjoyed our conversation. How can people reach out to you and find you?
You can find me on Instagram. I'm Gina.Shumway, the @ thing. You can find me on Facebook. I also have a website. It's my team website. It's www.T as in Tom, G as in Gina, Homes, plural, chat with 2 T's, CHATT.com. That's my website if anybody's interested in, potentially working with me, or you can email me at Gina@tghomechat.com.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate you too. This was wonderful. You're awesome.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Small Steps, Big Wins podcast. I value your time with me, and I seek to make every moment count. In order to make lasting change in your life, listening is usually not enough. So I want to ask you, what practical steps are you going to put into action today as a result of listening to this podcast? Remember, any step, any action, no matter how small, starts your journey to a big win. And if you're not sure where to get started, reach out to me and let's have a conversation. Until next time, love yourself, then love others. Peace.